Okay guys, so on this episode, instead of continue working on our island, or our floating base, I thought it'd be nice to show some more of what this mod pack has to offer. So, in a creative world, I've built this platform area. So, we've already seen the smeltery, and some like the automation I did using redstone clocks. I hope I didn't put drains on here, but that's fine. So using redstone clocks, you can have these automate. But eventually, you can make an ingot former, where all you have to do is pipe in some of the liquid, whatever liquid metal you're using, and it'll convert it automatically to an ingot. And then you put a hopper below it into a chest, or a crate, or whatever you want, and it would just store up all of your ingots. You could then, instead of going straight to a crate, you could use a compressor or something to turn those ingots into blocks that you store them better, or like you use less space to store them. But that would be your personal choice. You can see we have our lava generator and our geothermal generators. Down here, instead of what I built in our world for a obsidian generator, I found this design is a whole lot easier because so you have the lava get extracted into a stone barrel, right? That's a stone barrel? Yes, a stone barrel. And if the stone barrel has water on top of it, it turns into obsidian. And then an item extractor can pull that obsidian into a crate. And then using your so if you see between the pipe that has all our lava and the system, I have another fluid extractor, because I can come down here and turn it off and it will stop making obsidian. So that's one useful thing. You could also choose to take the water away. That way you have lava and you can just make, you can use lava to make whatever you're wanting. This is stretched out, and instead of like where I built a circular version of this, this is a linear version so you can see it a little easier. So we got the cobblestone going in, getting crushed into gravel. One set of gravel is going straight across. The other two are getting turned to sand. One sand is going straight across. The other goes to dust. The dust goes straight across, gets sifted. The sifted stuff goes into here. And then so I can come grab all of the pieces that are in here and pop them into this. And then as it gets turned into ore chunks, it automatically gets ported over to this over here. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop the rest of these back in here because I'm not really going to be using this world. We've started messing with all of the patterns, so you need the pattern chest to store them, a stencil table, and a part crafter. These two should touch your pattern chest so they can pull patterns from it. And then you have your tool forge and armor forge so that you can create your tools and armor pieces. So this is the kind of the area we've already explored a little bit. I just have a tree showing like you probably still want some area where you can just have trees grown, so if you want to do something manually. And over here, I have a more complicated setup for the trees. So you can see the trees grow into here. I didn't set these up, but so these would take away wood and sticks. And how I have it set up is the wood and sticks would go straight to the trash. You'd probably want like maybe this end one or something, instead of connected into the trash can, connected into a chest, so you have just a chest of wood and sticks. And then you could have it occasionally connect in some method if you wanted to dump the wooden sticks or something like that if you wanted to do that. And then below all of this, the resin and acorns, or sometimes just the acorns, get pulled down here and get packaged into amber or whatever it creates. And then here, import cables pull it into chests that are down here. So we'll get to this chest area more in a few minutes. But so you can make storage import cables to put stuff into chests. And really it's a special chest. So actually I'll go ahead and cover those. So these special chests down here, if you open them up, are 24 by 12. You can make these with the chest builder. You can set what color you want the chest to be, or whether you want to make a backpack and how many rows or and columns this holds. So like if you make a chest that you place in the world and it stores stuff, or a backpack, you could make a huge backpack that you carry around. So that the biggest backpack you could make, you would need 4 leather, 60 a stack of fence, a stack of iron, and 36 plastic. And you could make yourself a backpack, so you can carry around a lot of stuff. So we make a lot of these chests, and this is probably overkill what I placed here, but I just wanted to give a good example of maybe like a late game play, so you'd have a lot of storage. All of these chests are connected to storage link cables, whereas things you want to just pull and store are connected to storage import cables. That way you're importing them from what they're connected to. And all of this wiring gets hooked up to a controller from Simple Storage Network, a storage network master, and a storage request table. So the 3 of these touching together and connected to some kind of chest, you can use this, and it gives you access to all of your storage, where you can search for whatever you want inside of all of your storage in a crafting table, and it'll pull things from your storage. So I can just keep going, and it'll keep pulling all of my acorn, my donut stuff. And then with that, let me just grab one out of Creative. So there's remotes. So there is the storage remote and the simple storage remote. So the simple storage remote lets you get, as long as you're in the same world as your network, you can get items out of your storage, but you can't craft. Or the storage remote, as long as you're within 64 blocks of the storage system network master, you can craft and get items. So it's sometimes useful, depending on how big you make your base, to get both, because then after you have both, you could make a crafting table on a stick, either of the two, or the hand-code crafting table. That way, if you were too far for your storage remote to work, you do have to click them on that. So if you're too far away for your storage remote to work, you could use your remote storage, get your items out, and then use the handheld crafting table. So I'm just going to store those. So the computer is very useful. I'll probably soon start working on it on the playthrough base, so I can get all that kind of stuff working. But I know I need to do a lot of stuff in the nether first, because I need nether quartz. So I'm probably going to work on a nether quartz tree and things like that. Let me avoid that area for a moment. So coming over to, I guess, over here. So we've seen the sugarcane and cactus growing. So I just made a giant one to show you could do that, and then all you have to do is break one piece, and it all comes raining down. You do have to be careful if you have a cactus. A lot of it will just get destroyed by the cactus. So you would want to, if you build one of these setups, grow a single cactus, get it really tall, break it, and then get rid of it, and just make sure you keep one for future use. That way, you don't have to worry about it destroying the sugarcane when you break it. So over here is more complicated. So the basic farm stays the same, but we can have a harvester that will harvest the area, and you can set it to different sizes. Over here, I'm outputting. So like you could say, don't bring the seeds over here. So let me turn this one off. So you can see all the seeds are coming in. So I could tell it right here, I don't want corn seeds, I don't want beetroot, and I don't want seeds, because that's the blacklist. And it will instead keep them over here. And then on this side, I can say allow seeds, beetroot seeds, and corn seeds to just get emptied. And so within that setup, all of your seeds and such would get thrown away, and all of your food products would get put over here into this chest. And then you could just come over and turn it off whenever you feel like you have enough, but it would keep emptying whatever you made. Over here is a basic, just little area to keep your pigs and sheep and cows. They're just nice to have because you're going to need milk, you're going to need wheat, not wheat, you're going to need wool probably, and pigs, we'll get to in a minute, they have a very useful have another use in this mod pack. So this item, similar to the smeltery over there, where you can make it humongous and melt a large amount of items, this is a simple melter. So it's made of porcelain. You can only melt 3 items at a time, but it's much more compact. And so, like you can see, I had 1 block of iron, and so you can still put things in a casting table, still things in a casting basin, and it'll work just like a smeltery in terms of outputs. But you can only melt so many things at once, so it is much more specialized. It's nice for like the tinkers, armor and weapons, because then you can only melt what you need to melt, and just have casting tables on both sides. So one of my favorite things in this mod pack, and this isn't all of them, but are resource chickens. So like there's an electrum chicken right here, there is an obsidian chicken, there is a steel chicken, and below all of this, all of these chickens have item extractors, as well as there's colored chickens, but the item extractors will pull all of the things into a chest. So this right here would require a lot of upkeep or a very complicated system to store. But you can see, like, I can pull out all my feathers. The chickens lay eggs. Like I might have this bronze chicken egg. If I want more bronze chickens, I can take my chicken eggs. So the chickens do have to be in nesting pens, but I can take my chicken egg and in a egg nest place it, and it will guaranteed to grow a chicken. It does take a bit of time, but instead of where you throw an egg, so you often just don't get a chicken. With the chicken nest, you're guaranteed to get a chicken. It just has to hatch naturally. Actually, let me go ahead and dump all of this back in here. Oh. Okay, so you can do a resource chicken. Almost every resource has a chicken. So like you can see, like the glass chicken looks pretty cool. The iron chicken, the gold chicken looks like what's it called? The zombie pig, zombie pigman. So you got all that kind of stuff. Over here, instead of growing food in the giant, in the normal type seeds, so like over there you can grow just normally basic food type things, and it'll collect it. Over here, you can still grow your wheat, as you can see right there, and it'll pop out all your wheat and seeds. But in addition, you can grow things like I'm growing in seeds. So in seeds pop out essence. So like if it's a resource seed, it pops out essence. Those essence get crafted like this into blocks. So you can just grow in stone, you can just grow iron, or one of the more important ones is you can grow inferium essence. Oh, hold on. I messed that up a little bit. So let me unblock that. There we go, now it's gone. So all of this gets put into this area. So this is a Master Infusion Crystal. It takes a little bit of effort to make one of these, but it has unlimited uses. It crafts Inferium Essence into Prudentium Essence. Same setup goes to an Intermedium, same setup goes to Superium, and then you have Supremium. I think Supremium can also go to Insanium, but Supremium is probably going to be your most useful aspect. So you can just create these garden cloches. They just take power in the top, and in the back they take in water. So you can just create an infinite water source behind them, have one fluid extractor, and it'll fuel the water for all of them. Also, so power to get to everywhere on your base. Once you unlock something like the air charm that lets you walk on water, or walk on air as if it was a solid block, then you can come down below your base and run cables everywhere. So you just have cables of power running all over the place, and it gets very easy to handle cables at that point, instead of having to build a second layer below. So let's see. So one of the other interesting things, so I've already showed a little bit of this on our base, But so there's cakes to get places. So there's a cake to get to the Nether, the End, the Overworld is to get back here. The Twilight Forest has a cake, the Lost Cities, and the Hunting Dimension. The Hunting Dimension is entirely empty, but it is useful if you want to put your mob farm over there and put a chunk loader. It'll just keep going and just sit you out the way while still not increasing, while not really causing lag since you're not there. So the Twilight Forest has a cake, or you can build this. So if you have a ring of grass with a 2x2 water source in the middle, and you red and yellow flowers on each grass. Doesn't matter what the pattern of red or yellow is. They can even all be red or all be yellow. It just can only be red and yellow flowers. And then once you have that, you take a diamond and you chuck it in the water, and it turns into a Twilight Forest portal. It should be purple instead of blue. There it goes. So you got that going. We'll come back to the rest of the stuff in that chest in a minute. Okay, so one other interesting thing you can do is the Blood Altar. So the Blood Altar, what's it from? Is from Blood Magic. So we can go at Blood Magic. So like you can create interesting things like a ritual of all the different rituals, and through them you can make. I forget exactly what you make. There's a lot of interesting things within it. I think there's things that increase your damage, things that help you fly around, and things like that. So it's a nice little interesting thing to look at. We have chisel and bits. So with this, like the chisel fluid bit tank, you could put in a bucket of whatever fluid you want. I'm actually not sure if it can take any fluid, but I know it takes at least water and lava. And then you right click it, and it gives you 64 bits. So for example, I could come and in front of I could decide I want to place a bunch of lava all around. And now whenever you step in them, it acts as if you're walking through water. So it doesn't burn you, but it does give you a nice decoration that changes colors. And is very tiny. And then if you want to get rid of them, so you can't break them, but you could come and you could chisel. That's the wrong chisel. So we need the chisel and bits chisel, and you could come and get them back up. You could also use this chisel, so like on this piece of wood right here, I could take out that specific little chunk of wood and put that one back, and now it's an inlaid decoration. So now when you walk over that one, it doesn't slow you down. So it's just a nice little way you can make decorations. And if you hold shift, it'll kind of show you any bit like what it's made of better. So Blood Altar is kind of blood magic. Instead of blood magic, you can do space magic, so astral sorcery. So you'll need like a light well to collect light to use in your magic, a luminous crafting table. You could make a starlight crafting altar, a celestial altar, and then the iridescent altar. So each of those is just making it better and better magic. So those are some of your interesting magic things. Over here we have the Deco Bench. So you would put in clay, red, green, and blue, where these are just dyes, so like red flower dye type thing, cactus, and lapis lazuli. And you can just create decorations. So like, for example, I can come right here and grab a double green bed. And you click it once, and you come down here and grab it out. And now I can place, and it shows you where you're going to place it, and you can rotate it so you can make interesting like patterns. And I can place a bed. And it is actually a functional bed. I did not know that was functional. But so you can make very interesting decorations. So I'll get to those in a minute. But down here, we can, well, one thing is we can make elevators. So you can make elevators that when they match color and are in the same X and Z at different Ys, you can jump to go up and shift to go down. So down here, we have a mob farm. So I have it currently turned off because I have the lights on in the room. But so you can see there's lights up there. You have a mob fans pushing all the mobs right here to this point right here. And then when the mobs get here, this one kills a mob that's standing right in the front of it, or if there's a group of them and they get pushed off to the sides, then these kill those. When the items drop, it gets picked up by the item collector, gets shoved into here, and then it gets brought via cables into drawers. So like you can see, while this was on, it got some common loot bags, rare loot bags, epic loot bags, experience, rotten flesh, carrots, and then drawer keys you craft. It wasn't created, I put it there. So what do? You can left click to get one out of it. Oops. But you can left click to get one out of something. Or let's see, what do we have? We have 3 experience, or you can shift left click to get all of them. So that's just a nice, these are just nice in terms of being able to store things, because you can just say it can store a lot of one item. So it's very nice to have coming off your mob farms, then you can just see everything you're collecting and get it out. So let me go back up. So instead of that kind of mob farm, if you want a specific mob, you can make a lasso. And one interesting thing I've found is, if you have a lasso, you have to right click on an entity. So let's say a zombie, or an enderman might be more useful. So if you find one enderman, you can right click it and drop it in a lasso. So let's summon Minecraft enderman. And I right click him. So now I have a lasso of an enderman. So I can put the enderman in a mob farm. So I don't think he can go in a wooden one. Nope. And I don't think he can go in a stone one. Can he go in an iron one? He can go in an iron one. So it'll, when this bar finishes, it'll pop out the rewards as if you killed an enderman. But every time you do this, it does break your lasso a little bit. So for a second, let me let that go. So you can make an iron, a gold mob farm, a diamond, emerald, Inferno, so I think that uses nether things, and then Ultimate Mob Farm uses end things. So that's almost done, so let's see what happens. So it pops out an ender pearl, as if you killed an enderman. And you can see we have a slightly broken lasso. So if I come and grab... so power, we have anvil. So if I grab, let's say, a magma anvil or a powered anvil, they both work similarly, they just use different things. So the magma anvil, I just need to connect to a lava source, so that, for example. Or the powered anvil, I would need to connect to a power source, like that, for example. And either one that you want to use, if you go into it and place a lasso that's kind of broken, so if you have one that's almost done, you can put it in, and it'll heal it to full. So as long as you're watching those mob farms with lasso, you can just make it that one lasso go infinitely long. There may be a redstone way to automate that, so that you could have a timer set up, wait a certain amount of time, turn on an extractor, to pull it into a powered anvil of some sort, wait a certain amount of time, and put it back in the mob farm. So you could just have it automatically change back and forth to make sure it kept going. And then you would just have an item collector near, so when the item popped out, the item collector would pull the item in. So that's a very nice little mob farm, if you instead of building a giant one. But again, that only works if you want one specific mob, and if you can find that mob, and if you have a lasso. So what else do we have out here to explore before I show you a few other things, before I show you this large area? Well, we can look at some of the galactic stuff. So if when you go to do Galacticraft area, you're going to need an oxygen system. So you collect oxygen, it goes into a pipe to an oxygen compressor, and if you put a tank here, it'll fill up the tank. After that, you need a refinery. So you put oil in, and it gives you fuel. You then move the fuel to your loader, and then you can shift-click the loader and put it next to your rocket, and it would fill up your rocket. So that's how that kind of thing works. And then you just need a bunch of these manufacturing-based things, so like metallurgic infuser, circuit fabricator, electric compressor, osmium compressor, basic crushing factory, and there's a bunch more that you need to make components. And then you need a NASA workbench to build your rocket. So you build a tier 1 rocket, then you can go to the moon. On the moon, you can find schematics. You'd put the schematic in here and unlock it. and then it would show up in your list. So with their tier 1 rocket you might unlock next would be a tier 2 rocket to go further into space. Where further into space, so we have the overworld. The moon is a tier 1 rocket. Oh, how do I get back? Whoops. So then, like, Mars is a tier 2 rocket. Venus is a tier 2 rocket. Mercury is a tier 3 rocket. So you just keep going out and out and out. You can go to asteroids. Asteroids are tier 4. So you have all that kind of stuff. And then you need a rocket launch pad. You can place the rocket on it, and you have to make sure it fueled up. And then whenever you go to a new planet, I would suggest that you have a teleporter frame built at your base with a chunk loader, and I would suggest this chunk loader. So let's place the chunk loader. So this will make sure that your teleporter frame area stays loaded. So then when you go to your other place, you're going to want the chunk loader, you're going to want a teleporter with a teleporter frame, and some way to get power. Like my favorite thing to use is one of the advanced solar panels. So you do that, you get to your new planet, you place down your chunk loader, your frame, and you power it up, and then you can come back and forth. But you have to make sure before you leave Earth, or before you leave your base, you have to come in here and create. So you could create one. If you're going to the moon, you can call it moon, checkmark. And so now the moon teleports you to, so you'd connect this one on Earth to say moon, the one on the moon to say moon, and it links the two of them so that you know this portal goes to the moon. And then you could make one over here that says Mars, Venus, one for everywhere you want to go. And then you can always, if you needed to, if you never wanted to go to the moon again, you just come here and change to whatever new one you want to go to. So that's all of those things. So one of the last few interesting things, so this whole area has to do, well actually before I go to this area, let's look at some of the other fun items I have laying around. So a Spectre Key. So this is useful. You hold right click to use it, and it takes you to your own little dimension. So you use a Spectre Key to get here. So let's look up a Spectre Key. You need Spectre Ingots, Ectoplasm, and Ectoplasm. So when an entity dies, you can get a spirit, and if you use magic, such as a potion, to kill that spirit, you get Ectoplasm. And then once you have one single Ectoplasm, I would suggest you just need one, you can make a Spectre Tree by taking a normal tree and clicking on it with some Ectoplasm. You then get a Spectre Sapling, and your Spectre Sapling, well, let's go back to that. So if you somehow lose your key while you're in the Spectre world, you can right-click on your center area, but you can right-click on the center area with some Ectoplasm, and it'll make your little Spectre area grow in height. So you can make multiple levels. But so, for example, once you get your Spectre Sapling, you could come and pop it in to one of your bonsai pots, and you would just get a bunch of your of Ectoplasm. We have airships, so I think you shift right click and it throws on an airship. And then you can just get an airship and you can fly around if I knew how to fly, which apparently I don't. Oh, it's just that slow. Okay. So airships this is a level 1 airship, so I think they're just pretty slow. We have a portal gun, which if you've ever played Portal, yes, this is just literally a portal gun. So like I can I'll let this load in some. We've got a bunch of stuff happening here. Okay, so I put a portal here. Put a portal there. Oh no, there it goes. So we got a portal there, we got a portal there. If I come and just jump into the portal, it launches you between them. So, just like in the Portal video game. So you can make a portal gun. However, this is very complicated to make. You can make, similar to the drawers down below, you can make a filing cabinet. So the filing cabinet, you open it up and you put a folder. So let me come over to a crafting table. So if you take a filing cabinet and you put an item beside it, and if I put, let's say, a diamond, so it gives you a diamond folder. So I can then come back over to my filing cabinet, put it in there, and so now any diamonds that get piped into this filing cabinet go into that folder, and it can hold, I believe, an infinite number of, in this case, diamonds. You can also put multiple files in one thing. So this is a one block version of the drawers that we saw downstairs. Next we've got the mud. So you can get bucket of mud with resource type of whatever you want. And if you take a normal pig, so this is where I'm saying the pigs, you take a pig, you can right click on it, and so now we have a uranium pig. So if a uranium pig eats, so if the pigs just look up each one, but like the pigs have to eat different things, they'll produce truffles, and the truffles work as if they were like the iron pieces, like the pieces from our sifting. You put four of them in a little square, and you get out useful things. One other interesting entity-based item is the morb. So I can right-click an item with a morb, and now I have, oops. Maybe I can't pick up those. There we go. So now I have a cow morb. I have so you have to shift right-click. I have a pig morb. So now I can take and I can right-click them out, and it works like a Pokeball. So I can just, you can capture entities with them. Flux plug and flux points. So flux points, well, let's go flux plugs first. So flux plug you place on your power source, and you have a quote-unquote flux network that has wireless power, and a flux point pulls from your wireless power and it inserts that energy into items. So instead of running cables everywhere, you could make flux plugs and flux points. The last thing in this block is the slime fling. So if you hold right, this is very useful when going to other planets. It's not very useful on your base because how it works. So if you hold right click and then point away from where you want to go. So I want to fly that direction and up in the air a little bit. So I'm going to face the opposite direction and down a little bit. And I go flying. So you can see why that's dangerous on your own base because you'll just fling yourself somewhere. But if you go to another planet, this is very helpful as a fast means of travel. So let's see, the rest of this box, we have wands and these things. So let me place a piece of dirt. Let me place the whole row of dirt. So instead of having to build rows of things at a time, you can make a stone wand. Lets you place up to 5 items, but only horizontally. You can make an iron wand that lets you place, I believe, 9 items, but only horizontally. You make a diamond wand that lets you place a lot, I don't remember actually the number, but it places a lot of items horizontally or vertically. And an unbreakable wand lets you place an infinite number of horizontal or vertical pieces. Like I could take this wand and do this, and suddenly now I have this whole place right here. So I'm going to go ahead and break that. So that's those items. We have a wireless charger, so we place it on power. And then we have a building gadget that will get energy from that. So if you then shift right click on an item, on a block, it will let you build more of that block, and by default it will build to you. So I can say, build me that platform. So that's that type of thing. Sticks, so the stick, what it's useful for, so if I have so if you remember hammers for like sifting and things like that, so I can summon a Minecraft chicken. So if I attack a chicken with a stick, yep, it becomes an angry chicken. If I then kill the angry chicken, it gives chicken sticks. So a chicken stick acts just like a hammer, but it is unbreakable. It will never break. So that is a very, very useful item. The last thing in this chest, I'm going to go way off. So there's the floating McFloaty block. This block just lets you, if you're off in the middle of nowhere, you can click and it places the block. So these things, chance cubes and chance isohedrons. So chance cube, if you place a single one and break it, a random event happens. So here Ryan joined the game, and he left. So that's just a little interesting thing that happens. And it's a different thing every time that happens. Like that was a few very useful resources that got lost to the world. But you can see, oh, that's some energy. Where's a bad one? Gave me stuff to build a snowman. Why am I not getting anything bad? Gave bunnies. Oh, wow. Cookies. Why is nothing bad happening? Oh, there we go. So we had a trap room. So now you would spawn, you would hit the floor, and it would start shooting you to death. So that's what a chance cube does. And if you build a 3x3, and you have to build this manually. I've attempted to build it with a wand, and it does not work. You have to place the blocks. And when you do it, it turns into a giant chance cube that does much bigger things. Like, for example, this is just giving me a bunch of gold. There's actually no penalty. Like the gold one right here, there's no penalty to it. If I come over here, let's see what a different one I get is. And we get a bunch of TNT starts falling. So this is why you wouldn't want to do chance cubes in your base, because if you do this in your base, oh look, your base is now destroyed, because you can't stop this once it starts. Okay, that's an even bigger one. Lag. Okay, so that's kind of what they do. These do have the chance. They can just build a giant, I think about 100 by 100 village, like naturally overworld spawning village. And a chance isohedron works very similarly. It just does random things. That one doesn't seem to have done anything. One thing actually I forgot. So golden egg. So there's this thing, a golden egg. So if we place a golden egg down, it will automatically start spinning. There it goes. And if we give it a minute, so it's going to spin, 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 fly up in the air, and make some strange things happen. Let me go ahead and get a weed and an oak fence. So yeah, so here you can see it's starting to go up in the air, and it makes blocks float. Let's hope this turns out well. Oh, there he goes. Well, that didn't turn out well. But so what it does is it summons basically what looks to be like a baby zombie, or the baby zombies. But it has your player skin, and it doesn't kill you or hurt you, but it does try and break torches. So it tries to make others monsters spawn. But you can, like it's as if it's a mob, as if it's a peaceful mob, you can right click on it with the lead and tie it to a fence so that it gets stuck there. So you can just make a little version of yourself in your world to have. So I believe that's all of that, right? Yep. And that's all of that chest. So finally over here. So this whole area is for the data modules. So if you have a deep learner and you put data modules into it, as you kill that mob, it becomes better. So like our spider one is a basic. So if you kill 6 zombies, it'll get better and better. So the more things you kill and the better it gets. Whenever you have a trial key and it's either kill or hurt a mob, it becomes attuned to that mob, so it can go to those types of mobs. And if you come and bring it to a trial keystone, where you have to have a 15 by 15 by 10 tall area, so that's what this chamber is, and you put it in, it will let you start a trial. So the trial, a lot of that type of mob spawns, you have to kill all of them without dying and without leaving the area. And you get rewards such as glitch fragments or glitch hearts. So glitch fragments. So if you drop some fragments, lapis, and gold into a body of water, you might get glitch ingots. Glitch ingots can be used to make glitch things. So let me show you what these do. So if I do game mode 0, so now I'm in survival and I can't fly or anything. But if I put on glitch armor, I have creative flight. So it's very useful to be able to do that. So also over here, so we have our normal area, we have our baubles where you can put charms that you find. We have this area where you put your armors and all of your spacefaring items. And then the final thing that's fun to do is up here, we have an android area. So if you become an android, either from finding a mad scientist villager or taking the red pill, if you make one of those, you become an android. So androids can gain abilities such as not needing to eat, being very fast, preventing damage that they would take. They can do that by, if you're an android, you can access the android station and unlock abilities using experience levels. And there's also weapon areas. So if you're an android, you can come and upgrade your weapons. The one major deficit to being an android is you do have to have a battery that has to remain charged for you to be able to use abilities and overall kind of survive. So a wireless charger is useful for that, so that when you're walking around your base, as long as you're in range of your wireless charger, your battery is always charging, so you don't have to worry about it. Your biggest problem would be if you try and go to another area. Which is why inventory cakes. So inventory upgrade cake or crafting table cake. Whenever you eat one of those, like the inventory cake, whenever you eat one, you get another button up here that gives you another inventory space that you can use. And the crafting one lets you have this crafting table, or click a button and get a normal 3x3 crafting table that's just in your inventory. So those are very useful items to have, as well as any charm, or most of the charms. So like antidote charm, you get choose for poison. Void charm is not useful, since when you fall into the void in this mod pack, you just pop back up at the top. So the void charm actually prevents that from happening. The gluttony charm, whenever you eat, you instantly eat your food instead of having to wait for the whole animation of eating. So the charms are very nice to have. So I think that's about it. Well, actually, I'm in creative, so I'm not gonna worry about it. But yeah, so hopefully I've covered enough for you all to understand what all's in the mod pack. And whenever you play, remember to try and make a golden egg and build it maybe on an obsidian area. That way it won't blow up, or build it in multiple areas deep. But it's just iron surrounded by an egg, and it gives you a little you to hang out with. So thanks for watching this overview, guys, and see you next time when we continue exploring our actual world.